One of the most troubling ongoing challenges in any practice is the challenge of collection. And really understanding what collection is all about, why it is we even go this route, what are we doing there? And I think it's pretty well understood, right? That whether we finance or whether we don't finance, there's positive and negatives to each one of them. And that isn't the purpose of this particular video. So I'm not going to really go into all of this, but really, this is what we consider when we consider whether or not we even should finance. Now, many of those things that we really have to know, but when you do finance, you really have to know these things. Do we really know what the math is of the practice? Not to know what the math is of collection, but to know what the practice can actually tolerate if we go through the process of collection. And then when we look at all of the different things, the KPIs, the demographics, and then all of the financial considerations that we have, are we really prepared for a good collection process? Because the good collection process begins here. You have to plan for each of those different segments. So when we think about collection in a practice, it's usually broken down like this, right? What we want is 100% collection 100% of the time. Never happens, but that's what we want. It is the ideal. And then we think, okay, well, we have to keep our collections under certain amounts at certain segments. And as long as we keep our collections under certain amounts at certain segments, then we have good collection. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. It depends on how the numbers are being played and what's happening with them. This is the old model. It's the model that most people are familiar with, so that's why I'm using it. Personally, I like a different model. I look at things a little bit differently, and to do it effectively, we really want to change this paradigm. For me to have effectiveness in this video, I want you to understand, okay, the 30, 60, 90, 120, that's what most people are used to. Let's talk about it from that framework. We look at delinquency over time. Delinquency gains momentum, right, over time. Now, this may not make a great deal of sense to you right here, so let me break it down in a little bit more concrete terms for your practice. When we understand collection from this perspective, we really begin to understand, okay, is there a loss going on to us? And quite likely there is. There is a loss somewhere, and it's just understanding the significance of that particular loss, okay? So at 30 days, by the time an account is 30 days past due, and we don't tend to think of things often until they get to that level. But by the time that happens, they've already lost 10% of their value. So when you look statistically over time, chances are 10% of the collectible amount is gone. It's just gone after 30 days. And then that goes up to almost 20% in 60 days and almost 30% in 90 days, and then it just keeps growing from there. So if we look at it statistically, it's not a good situation. So in this graph, here's what we actually see going on. What you see here is in the dark green, that's the amount that we are likely to recover. So if we're talking about $100, we're likely to recover 89 or 90 of those dollars if the account goes 30 days past due. Okay, so the likelihood that we'll recover $100 goes down in that first 30 days. And then as we progress beyond that, it goes down considerably here to here to here to here, finally down to almost just a quarter. We get $25 out of that $100 if we let it be a year past due. Now, that's the first whammy. The second whammy is what you see in the lighter green here, which is the probability of collection. So the dark green represents the amount that you could likely collect. The light green represents the probability of collecting it. And as you can see that number goes down as well. So I've included the trend lines here. And so if you focus on the trend lines, you can see this is not a good situation either way. As the probability decreases, the amount decreases, that means decrease, right? And what we end up doing is we end up getting to a certain point and then we write them off. If you write them off, then they no longer reflect in the numbers, and so your numbers go back up. So the numbers may look good, but the loss is significant. So we really need to understand the data, and we really need to understand what's going on with the collection process to truly get a handle on this. Now, the entire revenue cycle management process is represented here. There are really 6 complete steps to this, with the 7th step being reporting, which is what informs us to know whether or not we're doing a good job on the other steps. But if you aren't representing these 6 steps in the process, then you're missing steps in the process somewhere, right? Something is missing along the way. Now, if we want to really get successful on collection, if we really want to get good at it, then we focus on relationships first and foremost. Why? Because you're a local-based business, and that local-based business, to really get to collect and collect well over time, we want to maintain our reputation. We want to maintain the goodwill that we have in the community. And so relationships are really what it's all about. Then you want your communication to be reflective of that relationship and effective in actually getting money. Because if you don't collect it, it doesn't do you any good. Statistically, it's going to take 3 or more elements of communication to collect. So if we look at a bell as far as what's it going to take to actually get people to send you money, to give you money, it's going to be up here, and it's going to be somewhere in the 7 to 30 range of communication, right? So again, the communication aspect of this alone is the major reason that you want to automate this process. And then you really have to have consistency, flexibility, and then ingenuity. And these last 3 can all be infused into the first 2. And that's where you really get the magic. Some of this happens with your team. Much of it truly should be automated. One of the most effective ways to automate this process is by using Ava Financial. Now, if you're already an Ava user, Ava Financial helps you do all of the things that I just talked about. It really will take this collection process to the next level with you. So you can do all of these things with Ava, but these bottom ones here are the focus of Ava Financial, where Ava's actually following up on the collection process for you. This is so revolutionary. It really looks at things in a very different way, and Ava starts behaving on the basis of those charts that I saw you earlier, understanding those trend lines. Every single day that collection goes past due, you lose momentum as to whether or not you're going to get it and whether or not you're going to get the amount that you had. So you really need to be acting on that right away. And that takes a lot of organization. And that organization can best be done through an automated fashion. So Ava is great at doing this with you. So please, if you haven't explored Ava Financial, please do so, and do so now. There's a lot of things that you can benefit by adding Ava Financial into the package that you already have. If you're not an Ava user, Ava will pay for itself in the first month alone. Please don't hesitate. Let's get on Ava and get on Ava Financial today.